Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Rama, Jaya Rama, Jaya
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai.
Can you bring me some water? Please, drink. Okay. So. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Further Inquiries by Vidura, text number 13. Yadendriya Paramaha
Yadendriya Paramota
Dashatmani Pare Ara
Tristratmani Parehara
Vili Yante Tada Kleshaha
Vilyante Tada Klesha
Samsuptasya Vakrit Nasha
Samstupata Sheva Kritnashna Yadendriyo Paramota
Yadendriya Paramata
Dvishratmani parehara.
Dastramani parehara.
Vilyanti tada klesha.
Vilyanti tada klesha.
Samsuptasyeva krishnasha.
Samsuptasyeva krishnasha. Yadendriyo paramuta.
Yadendriya paramota.
Dastramani parehara.
Dvishratmani parehara.
Vilyanti tada klesha.
Viliyante tada klesha.
Samsuptasyeva krishnasha.
Samstuptasyeva krishnasha. See, anybody online would like to chant this verse?
Yes.
Okay. Yatendriyo paramosta Jasamani parakaro Viliyanti tadklesha Samsuta siva krishnasha.
Anyone else?
Yes. Yedendriyo paramota Tristratmani pareharo Viliyante tada klesha Samsuptasyeva krishnasa. Hare Krishna.
Yadendriyo paramotha dastratmani pareharo viliyante tada klesha samsupatasyeva kritsnasa.
Okay.
Okay. Yata.
Yata.
When.
When.
Indriya.
Indriya.
Senses.
Senses.
Uparaha.
Uparaha.
Satiated.
Satiated.
Ata.
Ata.
Thus. Justri Atmani.
Rastri Atmani.
Unto the seer.
Unto the seer.
The super self.
The super soul.
Pare.
Pare.
In the transcendence.
In transcendence.
Haro.
Haro.
Unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Viliyante.
Viliyante.
Become merged in.
Become merged in.
Tada.
Tada.
At that time.
At that time.
Klesha.
Klesha.
Miseries.
Miseries.
Samsuptasya.
Samsuptasya.
One who has enjoyed sound sleep.
One who has enjoyed sound sleep.
Eva.
Eva.
Light.
Like
Krishnasha.
Krishnasya.
Completely.
Completely.
Sensation. When senses are satisfied and the seer, super soul, personality of Godhead merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep. Salation purport by Chicago. The quivering of living energy as described above is due to the senses. Since the entire material existence is meant for sense gratification, the senses are the medium of material activities, and they cause the quivering of the steady soul. Therefore, the senses are to be detached from all such material activities. According to the impersonalists, the senses are stopped from work by merging the soul and the super soul Brahman. The devotees, however, do not stop the material senses from acting, but they engage their transcendental senses in the service of the transcendent Supreme Personality of Godhead. In either case, the activities of the senses in the material field are to be stopped by cultivation of knowledge, and if possible, they can be engaged in service of the Lord. The senses are transcendental in nature, but their activities become polluted when contaminated by matter. We have to treat the senses to cure them of the material disease, not stop them from acting, suggested by the persons. In Bhagavad Gita 259, it is said that one ceases all material activities only when satisfied by contact with a better engagement. Consciousness is active by nature and cannot be stopped from working. Artificially stopping a mischievous child is not the real remedy. the child must be given some better engagement so that he will automatically stop causing mischief. In the same way, the mischievous activities of the senses can be stopped only by better engagement in relation with the supreme personality of Godhead. When the eyes are engaged in seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, the tongue engaged in tasting prasad, a remnant of food stuff offered to the Lord, the ears are engaged in hearing his glories, the hands engaged in cleaning the temple of the Lord, the legs engaged in visiting his temples, or when all the senses are engaged in transcendental variegatedness, then only can the transcendental senses become satiated and eternally free from material engagement. The Lord is super soul residing in everyone's heart, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world far beyond material creation, is the seer of all our activities. Our activities must be so transcendently saturated, the Lord will be kind enough to look upon us favorably and engage us in his transcendental service. Then only can the senses be satisfied completely and be no longer troubled by material attraction. Mukam karati vachalam bhagavanagati yaki vande shikarati katanam Om Gyanati Randasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshuritam Yena Tasai Shri Gurave Namaha. So the first day I went to the temple in Boston, 1970, I had been actively searching for a guru, and I had seen many different gurus. So, okay. Now we got my face in there. Yeah, I don't know if it's better or worse. But yeah, so yeah, I have been actively searching and I was trying different gurus. And they were telling me, one guru said, okay, here's your, pay for this mantra, secret mantra, morning, evening, chant it 10 minutes, rest of the day, do whatever you like. Do whatever you like. So I tried. And yet after 6 months, you can go. I tried very hard. Didn't work. So then I came to the temple and I asked the devotees, I said, okay, what's your process? And they said, yeah, you chant, you dance, you eat. I said, okay, if I chant, dance, eat, what will happen? What can I expect? And they told me, you will see God. So I said, yeah, I'd rather see God than be God, because I'm definitely not God. And so I just recently heard Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati one time. He visited the temple without his glasses, and he couldn't see without his glasses. And so the disciple said, Swamiji, Haraj, how can you see the deities without your glasses? So he said, Bhaktisiddhanta said, it's not that I'm supposed to see him, he is supposed to see me. And that's what Prabhupada said. In his purport here, I put it down too soon. 5, 7. That's what he said in this purport here. About that. If I can find it. The Lord, now here we go. It's near the end of the purport. The Lord, as a super soul, residing in everyone's heart, and as a Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world far beyond the material creation, is the seer of all our activity. He's the seer, not us. I mean, but it's good to use our senses to see him also. As I recommended, we should see the Lord too. We should also see him, and that will help our senses be controlled from seeing all the things on the internet and with our weapon of distraction. As Maharaj Sachinand Swami calls it, we do have our weapon of distraction. Our eyes are glued to that weapon of distraction. So better you be glued to the form of the Lord. Of course, if you can tune in to Krishna.com and such channels, you can also get that benefit of seeing the Lord. Okay, so this purport talks about 3 different levels of realization, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So Brahman is described where you try to cure yourself of material disease just by stopping your senses. But this is not such a good idea, like trying to stop a kid from doing anything. And that's what the Brahman is for, because these impersonalists and demons go there too. They're causing trouble. So and Krishna says, okay, go to Brahman, just sit in the light for a long, long time and don't cause any more trouble. So at least they're not causing trouble. They can't do anything up there to any mischief. Here it says, Prabhupada calls them mischievous senses, the mischievous Mayavadis, mischievous impersonalists can't make any trouble in Brahman. So fine, go there. So, but we want to use our senses. We want to stop them from seeing material things, but we want to make them see Krishna. We have 2 choices. We can see things not related to Krishna, or we can see things related to Krishna. So Bhakti Yoga means connecting our senses, connecting our mind to Krishna. If we use our senses to connect with the things of sense gratification, then our soul is quivering. Then we'll be quivering, agitated, we'll be in passion, ignorance, and in ignorance we just try to drown ourselves to stop our quivering with the drugs or alcohol or sleep or whatever, or eating, even overeating in the way of ignorance. So in Uddhava Gita, Canto 11, Krishna urges Uddhava, instead of seeing the things of this world as objects for our enjoyment, let us accept them as our Shiksha gurus. We talked a little bit about that last few classes, how the wind is our guru, the sky is our guru. Because the wind picks up things and drops them. We go through different lives or different scenes in our life, but we should not cling to them or be attached to them. And the sky is the observer, so we should be the observer. Now, Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur recommends we become humble by practicing the following meditation. We meditate on earth. First of all, you meditate on the earth, which is always visible to me, is expansion of the lotus feet of my Lord, who is always to be meditated upon. So this earth is expansion of Krishna's lotus feet. That's the first thing to think of. Second, all moving and non-moving living beings like animals, friends, enemies, trees, fish, have taken shelter of this earth. And they are sheltered at the lotus feet of the Lord. So everything we see here in the world is sheltered at Krishna's lotus. So this meditation is actually in the 12th canto, 11th chapter, verse 24. So if you have this meditation, there is a conclusion how you should behave. In fact, well, here's one more, number 4. In fact, all living entities constitute the costume gem on my Lord's chest. Therefore, I should never envy or deride any living entity. So that's the purpose of this meditation, is not to envy anyone or deride them. And you can get success in life by practicing this meditation. So there's a nice verse I'd like to share with you from 6th canto, 16th chapter, verse 51. Aham Vaisara Bhutani Bhutatma Bhutapadana Shakti Brahma Padam Brahma Mamope Shashwati Tanu. All living entities, so this is the verse, moving and non-moving, are my expansions and are separate from me. So this is describing Brahman. We are parts of Brahman, little pieces of Brahman. And we are expansions of Krishna, but very small expansions. Second, I am the supersoul of all living beings who exist because I manifest them. So the first is Brahman, the Paramatma, and the third one, Krishna, Bhagavan. So how does Krishna manifest his Bhagavan, especially for us here in Kali Yuga? How does he manifest? I am the form of the transcendental vibration like Omkara and Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. That's Krishna. Now, here. And that's number one. That's Shabda Brahma, the sound. Krishna is here in sound. And the second one is Param Brahman, that's the deity. And the deity, these are my eternal forms, they are not material. So the deity, the Hare Krishna mantra, they are eternal forms of the Lord. It's Krishna. It's Krishna. And so we did talk about the Brahman already. So we need to, we engage our senses. So it's better to stop, just stopping them. Okay, stop, don't do anything. And you may stop for some time, but they may stay in the Brahman, but they fall down from Brahman, according to 10th canto, because they're not satisfied there. The senses, the nature of the soul is to be active, not to be some dull peace in Brahman. The nature of the soul is to be active. That is our Nitya Krishna Das. It says in Chaitanya, we are eternal servant of Krishna. So we cannot, if we're servant of Krishna, means we have to do some service. We're active. We can't just sit there in the light and do nothing. And so that's why nobody's happy out there. So I'll talk about a little bit more about the senses, engaging the senses. What happens if you don't engage your senses? There's a lot of verses. I'll just read one of the verses from second canto, chapter 3. Vide pataru kama vikramanye ashen takara pute rasya kivasatita durikem sutta tachopadaya yurgaya. One who has not listened to the messages about the prowess, the marvelous acts of the personality of God, and has not sung or chanted loudly worthy songs about the Lord, is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like the tongue of a frog. I live in Vrindavan, and there's snakes and there's frogs. So I had this experience. What happens if the snake hears the frog? He goes and gets it. So what happened next to my house, right next to my wall, there is like a tank, not septic tank, but for runoff water. And there's a little hole. So like when there's somebody washes the clothes out there, then it could go down in that tank. The one time I heard this frog in the tank going, very loud. And from the hole, there was a snake's tail coming out. So evidently the snake caught the frog in the tank, but he couldn't get out because the hole was too small. So he just got the frog, and the frog was yelling. And yeah, that happens to people who don't hear about Krishna, the snake of time. Kala Sarpa, it's called Kala Sarpa, the snake of time, will get them. And death will come, they can't avoid it. Nobody can avoid death. I think this frog got away because the snake got out and left, and he realized, oh, all right, no use here. And so yes, so devotional service we do with all of our limbs of our body. And it's actually, the Prabhupada says, the transcendental dynamic force of the spirit soul. That is what happens when we use our senses in Christian service. It's actually the force of the spirit soul. One engaged in devotional service, one can engage, and senses of the body are purified in relation with the Lord, and one can give service with the help of all senses. So the senses are only impure or materialistic as long as they're engaged in sense gratification. Otherwise, they're transcendental. And so Prahlad Maharaj, he prayed, he said, my dear Lord, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve a transcendental position. So my first duty is to serve him. How can I do his service? So in that verse, there's Sanskrit, api kupa. a blind well. Ahi means the snake, actually, and Kupa is the well. And Srila Prabhupada explains what are these snakes that are trapping us in the well of material life. They're the senses. They all can bite at any time. The eyes, the ears, they can bite us with material things. But Prabhupada says, yes, I've got my kalasarpas, but by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, I have broken the fangs. Yes, the fangs of the snakes are broken, so I'm not afraid anymore. And that's, it is said, Kaivalyam Narakayate. This impersonal Brahman is like hell devotee. Hidasha Purakash Pushpayate. And heavenly planets are like a flower in the sky. There's no flowers in the sky, so it's like a phantasmagoria. Durdam Tendriya Kala Sarvapatali Bhakata Dakstrayati. And the senses, the poisonous fangs are broken. Visham Purna Sukayati. So the whole universe I see full of happiness. That vision, that's the vision Lord Chaitanya is giving to us. Whole universe full of happiness because Krishna is everywhere. Krishna is there. So, yeah, so Lord Chaitanya has given us Bhakti Yoga. We take shelter of Gornitai, then yes, we can get the highest pleasure. And so another thing is in Shukadev's prayers, just before he started speaking Bhagavatam, he asked permission from the Lord. 2:4:11. And Prabhupada says in his purport, devotees of the Lord, while delivering speeches and describing qualities of the Lord, don't think they can do anything independently. They can speak only what they're induced to speak by Krishna, because these are not our senses, they belong to Krishna. It's Krishna's body. And so the senses, they're just instruments. The body is an instrument of Krishna. So whatever we can do or speak is under Krishna's direction. And that's, so Prabhupada said, therefore one should always seek permission of the Lord to act or eat or speak. Isn't that interesting? Some devotees do that, actually. I know Paranamrita, my godbrother, who's longer with us, he would ask permission before doing anything. Vishnuja Maharaj, he would think, is this the instruction of Prabhupada, before he would do anything. So, yes. Then if you do that, by the blessing of the Lord, everything done is beyond the principles of the four defects. It's okay. We heard Krishna's everywhere. Why can't we see him? Why? How come? He's everywhere. Of course, we know he's here. It's easier. And that will be later. That's the highest. But he's also out there in the world. He's in our heart. Anyway, so why can't we see him? Kunti Devi explains our eyes are covered. First of all, Maya Javanika Chana, that our eyes are covered by the curtain of Maya. Also by ignorance, Agya, by ignorance, we can't see. The first thing Brahma did in his creation, he created 5 coverings of ignorance. And death, false ego, false identity, and ownership of things. These things are mine. There's 5 different coverings. So ignorance, that's the ignorance that we're covered by. And Krishna is a Hoshana, he's beyond our vision. We can't see him. And then we have the vision of mudhas. These 4 things are the problem. We're covered by the curtain of Maya, covered by ignorance. He's Hokshaja, he's beyond. And we see like mudhas or fools. We see everything as a fool would see. For me. The one time Prabhupada was giving a lecture in West Coast. And it was the hippie days. And one hippie came with a coat, a huge long coat to the ground with stars and moons. And he thought he was God, actually. And so then he was listening to Prabhupada's lecture and just glaring at Prabhupada the whole time. And so finally he asked a question, can you see God? And Prabhupada said, no, because you are in the way. Huge false ego. So yeah, that stops us from seeing Krishna. So Krishna as super soul is also talked about. The verse says we should merge into super soul. Does that mean? And yogis think, yeah, I'm going to merge, or that's me. This is the problem with yoga practice. We talked about that Friday night. That the yogis sometimes they think when they see super soul, they think, I self-realize that's me. Yes. Yeah, so that's the problem. And then they merge into the body of Paramatma and they lose their identity. And this is worse than merging into Brahman. It's a worse kind of you can go into Brahman or you can go into the body of the Lord, and that's worse. Body of the Lord. So so Lord, He's in our heart, He's giving us facility to enjoy. And Prabhupada gives the analogy of a master walking his dog. Walking his dog. So the dog is allowed to do whatever he wants. He's on the leash. But you can go here, go to the bathroom, go run, go play. But I'm holding the leash. So actually, the dog is supposed to obey the master. But the master is waiting. Okay, what you like? And then the master said, okay, time to go home. And so Super Soul is like the master, and we are like the dog. We are on our leash. He's got us on our leash. But some dogs don't want to go back home, and they're stubborn and they stay here. And this material, I've seen videos of dogs that just lay on the ground and won't go. The master's trying to get them, they won't go. And so most of the people in this room, 99.9% probably don't want to follow the master's commands. But Lord is there, he's just waiting. Okay, when are you going to listen? You're going to come with me back to Godhead. I want to take you home. And so, yeah, that's one analogy that Prabhupada gave. And another analogy Prabhupada gave about Super Soul is like he is the expert director of a drama. And I think Shakespeare says something like that we're all on the stage, we're all actors. So we're actors because we're pretending to be something we are not. We are not this body who we think we are, the identity who we think we are. Where's Krishna Nijadas? So Super Soul makes us forget who we really are, so we can play our part in this world. So yes, he makes us forget. Just like a director of a play. So Super Soul is like the director. And the more he can make the actor forget his identity, then the better the play is. And sometimes it happens that there was one actor who played the part of Lord Ram's father, Dasharath. And he was playing it in the play, and he actually left his body out of separation from Lord Ram. Prabhupada gives that example. And so so we are actors, we're acting our part. But Bhakti Yoga is trying to wake us up, awaken us from this sleep in material, the lap of the witch called Maya. Jeev Jaga, Gaurachandra, Lord Chaitanya is calling. Please wake up, please wake up. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? So, yes, the Super Soul, our director, and sometimes he comes out like he did. Of course, he was there with Arjuna. He came out and drove Arjuna's chariot. He's actually driving all our chariots. But we can't perceive that. But by performing devotional service, then we can actually see that. So now, in one purport, when you see the beautiful form of the Lord, now it's your chance. The these are open. And you can see the beautiful form of the Lord. Now we're talking about Param Brahma, according to the sixth canto. We're seeing Param Brahma. We're seeing the Lord. So when you see the beautiful form, the tongue tastes prasad, and ears are hearing, the legs visiting, that's this purport says, then you can become satisfied, satiated when you see the form of the Lord. So again, two forms, Shabda Brahma, the Hare Krishna mantra, and the deity And so Harinam is more merciful, and there's no hard and fast rules. You can chant anytime, anywhere, and it's free. You don't have to pay for this mantra. And anyone can chant. There's no disqualification. Anybody can chant Hare Krishna. So at the beginning of Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says that simple hearing is not enough. You must realize the Bhagavatam with proper attention. Nivishta, Sutta drank the juice of Bhagavatam through his ears. And that's the real process. So we have to hear with rapt attention, then you can realize Krishna on every page of Bhagavatam. But Krishna's here in this verse. Prabhupada said the secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. Okay, now there's some conditions here. Conditions apply here. In order to be attentive, you have to have a pure mind. Now, in order to have a pure mind, you have to be pure in action. Now, in order to be pure in action, you have to be pure in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Those four. But then there's another clause here that Prabhupada gives, even if you don't have all these qualifications. But somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention, the right person, at the very beginning, one can see Krishna in person in the pages of Bhagavatam. So we might be in the category of somehow or other. The Prabhupada is very merciful. He gave a very, I gotta be pure, but okay, somehow or other. It means, all right, I know, not all like that. And so in First Canto 16 chapter, Prabhupada talks about we're proud of seeing everything, but we have to be qualified to see, not that whimsically, oh, come here, Krishna, come before me, I want to see you. You can't call him to come. He will come where he is. You have to go and see him, actually. And so there's a verse also in the third canto at the end, 33rd chapter, I think it's 25th chapter. Yeah, I got a typo here. 25th chapter, verse 36. Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, hearing his pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagements. He becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. Who is this pure devotee who is unwilling? Now, what pure devotee is unwilling? Unwilling, in spite of his unwillingness, as the verse says, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. So that there are, Prabhupada said, 3 classes of devotees: first class, second class, third class. This is actually about the third class devotee, although it says pure devotee. Prabhupada says even the third class devotees are liberated souls. Isn't that interesting? You may not know it. You may be unwilling, but you're liberated. You're forced if you look at the deity. Watch out. It is explained, although they do not have knowledge, simply by seeing beautiful decoration of the deity in the temple, devotees absorb in thought of him and loses all other occupations. Simply by fixing oneself on Krishna consciousness, engaging senses in service of the Lord, one is imperceptibly liberated. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight also. How Prabhupada said, the pioneers in India, we were liberated, although we didn't feel it. And so Prabhupada says, the rascals say, can you show me God? What power you have to see? First get the qualification, and then you will see. And so, Prabhupada said, I will do operation in your eyes. I will do eye operation, so you can see it. Yes. And that you need the salve of love. Primanjana Chirita Bhakti Vilochanina. That is, if you have love in your eyes, then you can see Krishna. That's what you need. And so, but he talks about seeing. Sometimes we have prasadam and we say, let me see what's there. But it's not by the eyes that we can enjoy prasad. We can enjoy prasad, let me see, means let me taste. We must taste it, and then we will see. So Shabda Brahma also is taste. The tongue has two functions: to eat and to chant, to speak. So we're encouraged to taste the holy name. And so Srila Prabhupada said that if you try to see Krishna in prasad, Krishna is prasad, Krishna is everywhere, taste of water. Of course, what we have to do in order to remember Krishna is the taste of water, we have to say Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu every time before we drink a glass of water. We had to offer it. Now, devotees expanded that when they were on traveling Sankirtan to the whole supermarket, Shri Vishnu, traveling Sankirtan, so they could eat the whole supermarket except for the nutrition mix, of course. But no, anyway, that we had to do that when we first joined. And so Prabhupada talks about Kunti Devi praying to the Lord. She's saying that all this prosperity we see now in this world is due to your glance. And Prabhupada says in his lecture on that verse, when we sit in the temple of Krishna, Krishna glances at us and everything is nice. When sincere souls try to become Krishna's devotees, Krishna comes before them and glances on them and they become happy and beautiful. So that's why it's good to meditate on the form of Krishna in the temple. So we should try to connect our senses in his two forms, Harinam and deity. One day he will reveal himself to us. So Sevan Mukhi Jiva begins with the tongue action. So I'll stop here. If there's any questions or comments at this point.
So when you said that, even the third class devotee is liberated, I understand there are different kinds of liberation.
Right. Yeah, it's a third class devotee. Never says third class. It says third class. So what I understand is that while he is looking at the deity, while he's seeing the deity, he's liberated. So this liberation it's like you have the nine levels of devotional service. So Shraddha, Sangha, Bhajan, Kriya. And well, the actual first step in self-realization is Nishtha, or that's like the level when you are actually, you're not struggling anymore, you're not in the material, you're not exactly in spiritual yet, but you're in between. And it can also ruchi, the level of ruchi, all of us can experience, even in the lower levels. You experience ruchi because without ruchi you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here when come to the temple. So yeah, so my understanding of that liberation would be the person can be experienced the level of ruchi or taste and some attraction, some love for Krishna just by seeing how beautiful he is, some attraction for Krishna. So it may be momentarily, temporarily, but he's liberated in that moment where he gets a little ruchi. And then, so now we're in the lower stages, mostly on Arjuna Vritti, mostly we're struggling with the senses. When we come to the mode of goodness, then Nishtha, then the senses are more controlled, under control, and we have a very fixed devotion service. But then Ruchi is a little higher taste. So yeah. That's the type of liberation they would have, but it's a taste, more like a taste of liberation, like a momentary experience of liberation. Devotees in kirtan sometimes get that also. They're in the spiritual world. Devotees were telling about their experience with Prabhupada in different kirtans. Prabhupada and Vishujanga, you're not in this world. You don't feel, you're not just not here anymore. You've been swept up. Mayapur installation of Panchatattva, many devotees felt that in the kirtan. It wasn't the first, it was the kirtan that did that. During the kirtan, they were feeling that they're not in this world. And so, so it's a taste of the higher taste, a little higher taste. coming. But when you come to ruchi, it doesn't stop. The level of ruchi, everything makes you feel ecstatic. And you have a taste for everything, devotional service. You lost your taste, nadanam, nadanam, yes, that's ruchi. That you lost your taste of this world, and you all have a very strong taste for spiritual life. And so, yeah, I would say that's my understanding of what happens. When again, you could even be Baba or no, I wouldn't say prema, but like in the third class level, yeah, I'd say you can experience ruchi. Can experience that. Nectar Devotion says you can. Some people can also experience Baba by association with pure devotees, and that happened in the presence of Prabhupada for sure. But it happens now also. It can happen in kirtan. It can happen if you're pujari. It can happen if you pray to the deities. It can happen now also. Any other questions? Yes.
You're speaking about the super soul
Right.
and also about the coverings over the. So, how do we know when we're hearing from the super soul, or whether it's our own material motivations?
How do we know we're hearing from the super soul, or it's our own material motivations? So yeah, we do have a system of checks and balances. The test is the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So you test it with your Guru, you test it with the devotees, and you test it with the books. You open the book and see what it says about what you're hearing. Is it from you or from the super soul? Yeah, that's our system. Anybody else have
Thank you.
a question?
Any devotees online have a question?
Yeah, it's me. Hare Krishna. I have a question. He said we should not try to see Krishna. We should try to act in such a way that Krishna can see us.
Right.
Can you please give us some practical thing that we can do so that that when we go and see the deities or something, we try just to see Krishna. See the beautiful picture of Krishna, how the deity is dressed beautifully, and we want to see Krishna, but how do we act in such a way that Krishna can see us?
Yes, that's a good question. How to act in such a way Krishna can see us. Well, generally, you have instructions given to you by your guru. And if you follow those instructions, you keep, as we say in Guru Puja, keep them in your heart. That's your heart. What's in your heart are instructions. And then Krishna will see you. Oh, okay, this devotee, he is following the instructions of the spiritual master. And you can't go back to Godhead without a recommendation. You try to go and they'll say, who sent you here? And Srila Prabhupada, oh, okay, come. You cannot just go like that. There's actually Lord Shiva, we're talking about, he's a gatekeeper there, and he won't let you in. But Srila Prabhupada can. And yes, my god sister Mula Prakriti, she was leaving her body. Before she left, she also had a vision of that she was at the gate back to Godhead. The gate was locked, but Prabhupada was inside, the gate with the key, and he was calling her. So yes, we have to just follow the instructions, and then Krishna will call us. Krishna will want to see you. He'll want to see you. He'll call you. We're all being, and that was one of the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. He says, I'm being crushed by the wheel of time here in this material world. When will you call me? to your lotus feet. So all of us are being called by Krishna to do different things. It may come in the form of Harinam, it may come in the form of Pujari Seva, it may come in the form of washing the pots, Sunday feast, Krishna calling you to wash the pots. We have to listen and hear the call of Krishna. He's not calling us to go to the movies. He's calling us to come to the temple. He's here. He wants to see you here. He wants to see you. Here is where he is. He's Radha Shakti, Jagannath, Gauri-Nitai, they're all here. And they're all calling you to come here. I just was seeing on Facebook that there's a video, I think, we are welcoming the whole world to Mayapur. The whole world is welcome to come to Mayapur now. So Mayapur is calling you, come to Mayapur. And so Krishna is calling you, that's why he's here. He wants to see you. Yeah, he wants to see you. So that's, of course, and if following the instructions of the spiritual master is the best way. And then when you come here, then you can have a very deep relationship with the deities. He'll tell you, he'll smile at you. You can see, oh yeah, okay, he likes me. Yes, you can have a relationship, pray to the deities. Any other questions? And who is that?
I'm sorry.
Who asked the question?
Mother Golokananda Priya.
Golokananda Priya. Wow, that's a really long name. Golokananda. She must be Priya.
Thank you, Mataji. I wish, give me your blessing, I can be Priya one day.
Yeah, well, Golokananda means the happiness of Goloka. Premanam. Goloka and Premadam, Harinam Sankirtan. We can make it longer. After a few more years, the names will be longer. Okay, any other questions?
Well, on that note, we wanted to invite everybody tonight to come to the temple. As Mother Narayani said, that Lord Shishi Radhashar Bihari, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and Shishi Gauri-Nitai are calling you to come here. So she'll be giving another class this evening at 7 o'clock at the temple. 6:30 is Artik and Kirtan. So invite all the devotees to please come and hear her. We will put it on Zoom, but it's much better to have the personal association if possible, because you also get the chance to see Shishi Radhashar Bihari and associate with Mother Narayani in person. Thank you all for joining in today. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. We hope to see you tonight. Hare Krishna.
Oh, that's why he was. Okay.